Hey anglers, it's Al, the Hitman Sims with the Connecticut Fishing Recon Report. The freshest reports online. Brought to you by blackopsfishing.com. Real undercover fishing. Our first report comes to us from Fishing Factory 3 in Middletown on the Connecticut River. The Connecticut River is still flooded. The constant heavy rain is making it extremely difficult to fish. Just keep checking into the shop for details on that. The saltwater report, updated June 12th. Rain, and more rain has made for less than ideal conditions outside the mouth of the Connecticut River. The dirty water stretches as far as Bartlett's on a good outing, and it's made the adjacent reefs a bit challenging to fish. The bunker in the mouth has been a little tougher to locate, and all the debris in the river makes gill netting a little difficult. But if you can locate some bait, there are still some fish that aren't having a problem tracking down a freshie. Fry hatchets, black points, and Bartlett's, they're all giving up some fish. Reports from the race are hit or miss. Bluefish are continuing to fill in on the reefs, and the mouth of the Connecticut River has been tough on the flats. But anglers fishing bunker chunks on the docks have been scoring some keeper-sized fish. The docks at the mouth of the river are also giving up blues and the occasional keeper-sized fluke, all on the chunk. Speaking of fluke fishing, we're off to a decent start, just not seeing a lot of big fish. Our leaderboard sports a 8.9 pound fish, which is respectable, but it's the only decent fish we've seen. Reports from the south side of Fishers are decent. You can scratch out a limit with most keeper fish just pushing past the legal marker. The Rhode Island beaches seem to yield the same results. Block has had a decent bite on the west side of the island. Reports from last week had the south side covered with dogfish. Local reports have been good with reports of keeper-sized fish in Niantic Bay. The deep water at Black Point and Hatch is coughing up a few, and we've received good reports this week from 6 Mile Reef as well. Still no local reports of porgies and sea bass. And the next recon report comes to us from Connecticut Outfitters in Weathersfield, the Inland Report. The river is extremely tough to fish and can be dangerous for boating due to the flooding from all the recent rain we have had. Some anglers have attempted to fish the river, but we have not heard much since the rain. Pike fishing. We've heard of one angler who picked up a couple of pike at Mansfield Hollow, trolling a red and white daredevil during one of the recent stormy days. We haven't had many reports from the trout rivers and streams since they are swollen over their banks and the water is raging. But lake and pond fishing for trout is a good bet right now. Horace Pond in Salem worked out well for Jeff Roth, who landed 7 trout in a short time fishing worms and mealies right from shore. Also reports of trout action at Gardner Lake in Salem. Freshwater bass fishing. Bass fishing remains good in the lakes and ponds despite the weather. Sean S. has been killing it on live target frogs all week with bass up to 4 pounds. The Marine Report. The big news was one of our staff, Josh, landed a 50-pound, 50-inch striper in just 27 feet of water off of Niantic. He was tossing a live eel. The river mouths are muddy and tough to fish right now, but local reefs like Bartlett's in Niantic have been producing a few fish to those who braved the weather. Fluke fishing remains very good. Some nice fluke were weighed in from Niantic yesterday on 6/14. Still a lot of keepers in closer waters like Two Tree Channel. And drifting with squid rigs has been the top producing method. Sea bass opens today, 6:15. Word has it that Black Point off of Niantic is the place to try for those. And the next recon report comes to us from Hillier's Tackle in Waterford. The striper action has been slow due to the recent weather and anglers just not getting out there, but things are getting back to normal. We heard of a good bunch of bass caught last evening on 6/14. Some little bluefish showing at Fort Trumbull and at Millstone almost every day. The big news is still fluke. We weighed in a 10.7 pounder on Monday, and just yesterday, 6:14, the shop weighed in a few more doormats. And today, 6:15, is the opening day of sea bass fishing, and a lot of guys are headed to Black Point to try for those. A lot of big sea bass have been caught over the past few weeks from anglers fishing for fluke at Black Point. Of course, those were pre-season fish and were released, but that shows us that Black Point is a good spot to try. This has been Al, the Hitman Sims, with the Connecticut Fishing Recon Report, brought to you by BlackOpsFishing.com. Until next week, keep off my bass.